action. All right, guys, welcome to our podcast, Vision to Prosper. I'm your host, Christopher Joseph, and I'm here joined with.
Quap and Sean.
So, guys, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Sean, why don't you start?
Um, I've got a I've got a background in business. My background actually started in the arts, but then I kind of the one person in my family that moved over to business. So you'll probably find a lot of my responses and a lot of things that I say are going to come more from that aspect than sort of social or anything like that.
And Quav, how about yourself?
So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also into music. So I produce music for a variety of different people, artists, different even commercials and stuff like that. But I also, as an entrepreneur, I like to, what's really trippy? We might have to cut this, but being an entrepreneur is kind of interesting because you have so many ideas and you're trying to figure out how to express them all, right? So what I find myself doing is just focusing on one thing at a time and then kind of alternating based on the season I'm in. So maybe if it's the winter time, I'll be more indoors doing the biking. Sorry, not biking, watching biking videos. But while I'm doing that, I'm actually making music. I'm um, doing a lot of graphic arts, like digital design stuff. I'm writing ebooks. I'm just trying to like express my energy levels in a way that can still create and some form of work.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, in the summertime, I'm gonna switch it up. So it really all depends, you know?
Yeah. Um, I think for myself, I would say visual storyteller, community builder. And I think the reason or the purpose that we've all kind of come together is because we feel like there's a niche or there's a gap in the market for a podcast where people are going to talk about things that are relevant or important to people like ourselves, right? And what I love about this podcast and what, hopefully we can achieve as we go through a lot of these episodes is just bring light onto a lot of things that I think have kind of gotten pushed to the back burner. And so today we talk about a topic that I think is kind of dear to heart for not only ourselves, but a lot of other people out there, which is our title is They're Waiting on You to Believe, right? So when you hear that phrase, is there anything that kind of comes to mind for either of you?
Well, you did a good job of sort of setting it up because you were talking about like all the ideas that you had and whatnot. So with a lot of those ideas that you have, what do you find you get like as far as like when you try to express your ideas to people, what do you get as some of the feedback like?
I find it very hard to express my ideas to people because when you have so much in your mind, you're trying to express it without making yourself look like a fool, especially telling people like, oh, yo, I want to become this or do that. It's like people just look at you like, bro, like how many ideas do you really have? People respect action.
Mm.
That's what I've learned. So being someone who has all these ideas is great, but if you can't translate that into something tangible, people just they don't really care. And that's just something we all have to accept at one point in our life and not take it personal that you have gifts, talents, abilities, but how can you make that into a business? You know?
Yeah. What do you find from a sort of support standpoint,
Um,
like as far as people supporting your ideas or is that whatnot?
well, I've learned that the more I believe in myself, other people started believing in me as well.
Right.
So I think having a high self-esteem is very important. Knowing that you actually believe in your vision and are willing to work as hard as it takes to get to the intended goal.
Mhm.
Um, many people, they say they believe in something, but then they give up very quickly.
Right.
Right. So, you know, life is challenging. Becoming successful is challenging. Um, Trying to prove yourself to others also comes with its challenges because who do you really want to be successful for? Just you or your family or your relatives or your nation? Like when you have a greater, let's just say, scope of people that you want to reach, it might come with greater levels of pressure on you because you're trying to impress all these different loads of people, so um, people are waiting on you to be successful, yes, but first and foremost, you got to believe in yourself. You know,
Right. Yeah.
True. Very true.
How about yourself, Sean?
Um, I kind of come at it from a different angle. I don't care that people don't believe in my ideas. I kind of I've stopped even bothering telling my friends any of my ideas. Um, just thinking about it from a business standpoint, right? Um, are they even going to be my target audience, right? So what does it matter if they believe in me or not? Look at a company like Walmart or Amazon. How many people that use Amazon do you think are Jeff Bezos' friends,
Right.
or that go to Walmart are their friends, right?
Right.
If you're just sitting waiting for your friends to support your business and grow your business, you're never going to get anywhere off the ground. And even for me, I spent years working in the financial markets, so I done a long stint teaching people how to trade the financial markets, showing them the importance of the financial markets. Um, a lot of Black people just don't believe in the markets.
Right.
They think it's a scab, it's fraud, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. But that's actually where most money is generated, where most money is being built. Um, Kind of look at what's happening right now with the U.S. markets, where the markets are losing all of this money. Well, the money doesn't disappear;
Right.
it goes somewhere,
Right.
right? And that's where all the conspiracy about how all of the people, all the billionaires that supported Trump are getting richer,
Right.
right? So I just say that to say the importance of the market. But then for me, like, knowing that my friends and family are kind of hard-headed where that's concerned, they're never going to believe in it. So if I come up with yet another idea where, oh, I'm gonna teach people how to trade the markets efficiently because that's a skill that I have,
Mm.
right? I'm not going to go to my friends and be like, oh, like, here's a wicked idea that I have, why don't you guys jump on board? They're not going to.
Right. People are skeptical.
Yeah, I know what I mean. They're not going to. So
Mm.
kind of, who cares? Another thing that I thought of, and I hope I don't run over my time, but like, and this kind of goes with is something that we're going to be talking about later on in the cast, is sometimes your idea is just going to sound stupid to people,
Right.
and there's a lot of really good stupid ideas out there.
That's very true.
Like, here's a stupid idea. I am going to start a business where I'm going to get people to drive around in their car and drive other people around the city.
Right.
If if you just said that to your friends, like, hey, that's going to be my idea. I just want people to drive around in their car, pick people up, drive them all over the city, and I'm going to give them some of the money. Wow.
Right.
They'd be like, you're an idiot.
That's crazy.
But Uber's not an idiot. You know what I mean? So
That's powerful. Yeah, man. So I think that's a good segue to our first question, where we talk about this idea of the modern struggle for belief. And I think you both kind of talked about it a little bit, where, this idea of, in the Walmart example, are the people that go to Walmart the friends of, the owner of Walmart, right? Probably not. And when I ask that, right, like social proof culture. So this idea where it's like everyone else wants someone to co-sign you before they believe in your success. And when I think about that idea or that concept, I think it aligns with kind of what both of you guys said, even in that more local level of just like you as an individual in your community and your family. And then also from this business perspective, where it's like, I think a lot of times people don't believe until they hear a lot of other people kind of believe. And where I think that's dangerous is like for someone like myself who has more of a marketing background, I think there's this power, especially now with Instagram, where people don't fact check anything. People don't look at anything and say, oh, is this real? And a good example that I can think of is when businesses like coffee shops and restaurants generate this fake buzz around themselves, where it's like they pay people to go to the coffee shop or pretend like they're, coffee fanatics. So now you're on Instagram saying, wow, look at all these people. Like they love this coffee shop or they're co signing it. So it must be good because everyone else believes it. And so the question that I kind of pose for you guys, especially for you, Sean, who I know you said you don't really care, what people think. For you as a businessman, how do you overcome that? It seems like there's this need of social approval. So how do you overcome that, even though you understand that you may not care if you're going to deal with or work with other people, sorry to say, or so I should say, how do you navigate that?
Because the people that need to believe it will believe it, right?
Right.
People with a business sense, like they hear business ideas differently than other people do. And when it comes to having having an idea, launching a business, wanting your business to take off, grow, and make money, I need people to not believe in my business. I need them to not believe in it until it gets successful, until it starts moving, until it's at the point where I need to hire people. Because I need all these people that would never have started a business on their own
Mhm.
to work for me. That's a fact. So the more the more people that don't believe new ideas and let me start my new ideas, let you know what I mean, the Bezoses, the whoever start their new ideas, and then you jump on board after, you get to jump on board at the point that I want you to jump on board at.
But
Not
it's
as an investor, but as an employee.
But it's interesting you say that because we project this idea that sheep culture is so negative, right? Yeah. That like, oh, don't just be a sheep, don't just follow what people say, right? Like if I told you I'm going to make every life decision for you, right, you'd feel like an idiot.
Mhm.
But to your point, most people when you think of their jobs or their careers, isn't that what most corporate jobs are?
100%. But so here's the interesting thing with that, right? A lot of the struggle that we have when it comes to posing business ideas to people
Mhm.
is, so for me, my parents are baby boomers, right?
Hmm.
They were always taught, and they teach that to us, to just keep your head down, get this job, don't say anything, don't ruffle any feathers. They're the ones that put us in the box that life has been for years telling us to try to operate outside that box.
Right.
Like that box of comfort, your comfort zone. Get the hell out of your comfort zone,
Right.
because that's where success is. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I none of you just believe it. I know that. For me, that it's obvious to me
Right.
that your comfort zone is your failure zone, right? But at the same time, I do need the people that believe that believed, get a job, don't say anything, don't ruffle any feathers.
And to also add to that, there was a season where that was actually the only reality that existed.
It was.
So they're not coming from a place of illusion. Like that's the only way they could survive is if they put their head down, get a job, make sure that check is coming in every week. So we actually have the luxury to change the dynamic now,
Yeah.
so,
But why do you call it a luxury? Why is it a luxury?
well, it's a luxury because there's a lot more freedom in not having to rely on someone to tell you what to do every day when it comes to your money. You have more time for yourself, your family, your kids, your ideas, your peace. What are you exchanging every time you go to work? Time. But you come home and then you have no time for yourself. And what what is life at that point? You go to bed 8 hours, go to work 8 hours, and what time is for you to figure out who you are?
But wouldn't one argue that as we move through an age of AI automation, that we're moving towards actually that thing that you say is negative,
Oh,
which is you had the luxury to change and to do whatever you want, but we actually create systems that do the opposite, which is dumb everything down for you and make you think less because it's like, hey, don't worry about your money. There's an AI that can Inzel for you, and there's a
oof.
AI that grocery shop
Yeah,
for you.
but people understand AI wrong. AI is fantastic at collecting and regurgitating our beliefs and our past actions,
Mhm.
right? So without us doing things, AI is useless.
Mm.
It's absolutely useless,
Right.
right? And I'm not trying to say that, oh, AI actually is useless. I'm just saying AI is fantastic because of the stuff that we've done, right? So we still have to be doing things for AI to continue working. Otherwise, it becomes stagnant and it gets no better than it is today.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then for what you were saying, the luxury of being able to go out and start a new life. We don't live in the same world that we used to live in, right? But for anybody that's thinking along the lines of, I'm more of a business person or I'm more of an ideas person and I want to whatever, also keep in mind that what we see every day is people going off to work
Mhm.
to help make somebody else's idea a success.
That's true.
That's all life is. That's all work is. Somebody had an idea and a bunch of people are now working to make that idea as successful and as profitable as possible. It doesn't matter where you work, somebody had an idea.
Yep.
Even if my idea is to do the same thing as his idea, it's still, once I get to that point where I've got employees, all that is people coming and making somebody else's idea a success.
No, and that's such a good point, because I think there's always a moment where I think we see a shift where people start to actually believe, where people see that good in you, or they see your business for what the value is. And so I know, Quab, that we kind of talked about this as an example. Um, you gave the example of Moses, and I think this is such an interesting example, because I think Moses is categorically a story where it's like a man goes through this great journey to influence these people that don't really kind of, one could argue, deserve, right, to be rescued or to be saved. And what I think is so interesting about that, and maybe I'm cynical, when I look at modern people today, I kind of feel that way, that I look at the direction that we're heading in as a culture and as a people. And as much as, yes, I do believe that we should save the earth and save people, I also believe that people are also categorically the biggest hindrance to themselves. So, or how do you, like, what is your guys' opinion about that? So, knowing that we are people who still have to do that work, right? In a modern sense, how do we go about that? How do we metaphorically help our people, or as we say, our community that's here now, knowing that they're often the problem, but what are some strategies that we could use or things that we can do to kind of combat that mindset?
I think the first thing I would say is recognizing that we are people who are often deeply wounded. And so it's like we've been set up to fail by the design of the system we live in. And I'm not saying this from a victim mentality. I'm saying this from the reality of you're in a system that does not want you to prosper.
Right.
Right. And so that may look like denying you access to certain privileges that other races or cultures might have. That may look like spreading certain type of music that would cause you to think negatively of someone who looks just like you, so you can go out and shoot them tomorrow.
Right.
Right. Like, we have to recognize that without being healed, and not only healed, but recognizing that we have a flesh that does not like to do good, we're constantly going to be going through the same cycles. Right. And when I look at the children of Israel, when they were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, that was a time where a lot of purification had to take place. And so unless people are purified, they're not going to be able to live in the most, let's just say, productive state.
Right.
Right. Productive meaning you're not harming yourself, you're not harming others, you're not being simply just a useless consumer. Like, you actually have a purpose in this earth to actually give back, right? To do something, and also to, like, I think of the earth as being something that can just, like, recycle itself over time. So meaning if there's a lot of evil, and the earth somehow naturally just finds a way to get things back into order. Like, you'll even see that in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. There's a lot of evil, and so by spiritual laws, once evil gets to a certain point, it has to come to an end.
Right.
Right. So there's a lot of people like that. Yeah, let's just say some people don't want to be saved, and some people maybe not deserve to be saved. But if they can realize that they have work to do on themselves, they can get to a point where they can overcome whatever is holding them back.
And I think maybe, from my understanding, what you're saying is that there needs to be this balance, that you cannot have good without having that bad. And sometimes in our purest or quote good nature, we think that by constantly trying to remove those hardships or difficulties, we're going to make life better. But in some ways, I think it actually makes it harder, right? What would you say about that?
No, I agree with that. And what I was going to say, directed to your question, is you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what is help?
Mm.
Right? Like, I get like, yeah, we can say, oh, we want to help people, and we do want to help people, right? But then you also have to think to yourself, well, what is help, and what is help to each individual, right? If so, I'll kind of use the example of my sister. My sister's terrified of roller coasters. I'm not, right? Her son is not. To the point where we were going on Behemoth when Behemoth was first created, and she was talking me out of bringing him on Behemoth. Right. And I had to say to her, like, don't impart your fears on him.
Right.
He already doesn't have those fears.
Right.
Right. So she's thinking she's helping him by not putting him on this dangerous roller coaster.
Right.
But you're kind of not. You're actually helping him to now live his life as a fearful soul. Right. So when I say what is help, like you have to think to yourself, if somebody genuinely does not want to do something, you're not helping them by making them do it. Right. Like you're like, we're like, this is kind of like the Matrix, right? Like we're trying to free the minds of those that want their mind freed. But then those that don't, they'll just think that we're talking a bunch of garbage. Or they'll probably be like, yeah, he makes a great point. He makes a whatever, but they'll never do anything about it. And that's fine too. Right? So that's why you got to think to yourself, well, what exactly is help?
That's interesting, because I think you touched something very controversial when you say that, because I think there's a really big dialectic there where it's like, and I'll use this one because I know this one will hit home for you. Going to the gym, right? Most people, including myself, I don't like working out, right? But I think if you forced me to go to the gym, I would see a lot of benefits of it, and it's something really good. But then I think on the opposite of it, which is, and I think this ties into our topic, showing up for yourself, right? And I think of that for like school. We kind of talked about school a little bit before, and I never liked school. I never liked going. I didn't see value in education and listening to teachers, but the discipline and structure that came from that, and from that, in some ways, yes, education is an oppressive system and does degrade certain individuals in society. But I cannot argue now as an adult that because I went through that and I was forced to do that, that there wasn't good things from it. And I think, to your point, yes, we can hinder people, like if we don't let them go on roller coasters and explore that joy. But I think on a more foundational level, I think sometimes pushing people to do things that they wouldn't normally do, I would argue sometimes is help.
If there has to be something that, and maybe I'm wrong, right? But in my mind, I just feel like there has to be something there. Like, so people think that, oh, like I'm a courageous person. I'm fearless. I'm whatever. Not fearless at all. Not fearless at all. Most of the things that I do with fear.
Right.
I'm scared. I'm worried. I have no idea how it's going to go, but I know that if I conquer it, I'm going to feel better, stronger at the end.
Right.
And that's why I do it.
But don't you feel like as a Black man that majority of your life you were forced to do things that you didn't want to do?
I feel like as a kid that grew up as a nerd,
As a nerd.
not just a Black man. Like that's a part of it. But then I had the luxury of I was a little nerd who had a giant forehead, big feet, super skinny. My nose was this big when I was this big. You know what I mean? So I got picked on all the time. I got bullied all the time.
Right.
So it forced me to have to change the way that I was, right?
Yeah.
I had to like finally fight a bully as a kid. So for me, a lot of it doesn't come just from being a Black man. A lot of it does, right? But a lot of it comes from, like, what people call bullying today is not bullying to me. Right. Like bullying to me, I actually got hurt. My lips was bleeding.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It was a little bit different.
It was more physical than emotional.
But a lot of it comes from, I had to force myself into the uncomfortable. Like I had to stand up to people that I did not want to stand up to. Right. You know what I mean?
But do you think that what allowed you to persevere was something innately within you? Because people could argue that there's lots of people who go through similar things to you and they crumble. They don't rise up. They don't have this kind of character building moment where they're like, no, I'm going to be stronger. They actually go deeper into despair.
No, for me specifically, like for me personally, it was a lot of fake until I become it. You know what I mean? Like I had to pretend that I was tougher than I was, and maybe the bully was too. You know what I mean? But I had to pretend that I was tougher than I was, and I took a lot of that into how I who I became and how I am today, where I'll go into something, I know I'm scared, but I just have to tell myself, you know you can do, you know you could do, you know you can do it, you know you can, you know what I mean? So a lot of it is that, and honestly, like, I'm kind of glad that you maybe mentioned that, because that's something that a lot of people should hear too. Like when we say that, like, get out of your comfort zone, like, we mean way out, like, not out of your comfort zone, but you're still holding on to it, right? Like, way out of your comfort, like, be uncomfortable, be be ready to be terrified. You know what I mean? Because there's something for you on the other side. If that's the way that you're willing to think,
Right.
right? But if it's not, that's okay too. If you've got your box and you're cool with being in your box and that's where you want to stay, that's cool too. You know what I mean?
The next question I want to bring up is society teaches people to wait until you make it to show love. And so, Quab, how do you think that affects people's self-esteem when we kind of we only get that support or that love until we've quote made it?
I don't think it's healthy, to be honest. Because it really just creates a lot of fake friends. Like, who really wants fake people around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're only supporting me now that I've got something, then
Right.
are you really a true friend, a true person who supported the vision,
Mm-hmm.
or are you just here for the rewards at the end of it?
Right.
Um, I don't think that's healthy at all. But I do think, again, that comes from human nature of always looking for something that can make you better, right? You want to be elevated, so you've got kind of got to leech on to those who've already got something instead of you putting in the work to get it yourself. Just grab a hold of the guy who's already made it. It's simple. I mean, that for me, that's what I think about, even in the terms of business, where I would see certain music producers and, you just reach out to them on IG, nothing crazy, just a simple message or whatever. You most of the times wouldn't get any response, but then now I would see how people would respond to me as my music would start to get recognized and placed in certain places. And people would start to message me and want to connect to me. And I'd be like, that's kind of strange. It's like, now you're trying to reach out to me when I was trying to reach out to y'all. No one was saying nothing.
Right. Faith love. Yeah.
And now, so I can see it from both ends. And I would say sometimes people are genuinely, they just want to support those who are doing good. And so they don't mean any like ill intent from doing it. But then other times there are those who they're really just leeches, and they look to just take whatever they can get because they know someone is about to make it. And you'll see that from people who are, let's say, managers, and they want to secure someone who's going to be the next big artist. Right. So they get them when they're young, when they're ignorant, when they don't know how to read a record deal.
Right.
They don't know the music industry whatsoever. And so they'll grab a hold of them and exploit them, take advantage of them, take their money, take their,
Music business.
opportunities that are really owed to them. They'll take a majority of that for themselves because they'll see you as, a come up.
It's interesting. You said something that I like there, which is you talked about this idea of people leeching onto success. And what I think is interesting, because I see it two ways. I see that success is contagious, right? In the same sense, when you listen to a lot of like influencers and wealthy individuals, they'll often say, surround yourself with people who are either doing what you want to do or doing better than yourself, right? But then it's interesting because now when I think of what you just said about leeches, right? What did that individual who's doing better than me, doing things I'm not doing, what did they see me as a leech? And I think it's interesting because we all would agree, like, yeah, when I got successful, people started reaching out and people started liking me more and it's like, it's negative for them to like me when there's success.
I hear what you're saying, but I think there's and I agree with you guys wholeheartedly, right? But I think there's a difference between if the person that you're talking about that's hanging out with me because I'm successful now, or because you're successful now, if it's somebody new to me versus if it's like a friend that I've had for years that like you've just recently started a business, right? If you're phoning these people, emailing these people like, hey, come out to one of my events.
Correct.
And they keep not coming out. They keep not coming out.
Right.
And then next year after, when your events have blown up, now they're like, hey, can I come out to the next one for free? You know what I mean?
Right.
And those are the ones that I call
I
weaknesses.
think
But if it's
motives are what we have to
Yeah.
begin to examine,
Mhm.
right? Because you just got to know who's there for what reason. You know, like I don't think it's wrong to want to support those who are already doing well for themselves,
Mhm.
but can you add value, or are you only there to take?
But then even support, and I'll do the same thing that I said with help, right? Like, what's support? Like if you have a restaurant, right? And I keep coming to support your restaurant by wanting a free meal every time I come. But hey, there's a person in your restaurant. I supported you at all.
I know what you mean. So it looks differently, and that's why
Yeah.
it's just a matter of using wise judgment, you know?
Right.
Because I think even when I think back to, cases in the Bible, like King Solomon, he was a very wise man and he did trade around the world, right? So he had to know how to deal with people, with finances, with people who saw that he was abundant, he had wealth. He could acquire basically anything he wanted.
Right.
But within that wisdom of navigating the business space, you have to know why people are there, right? Because if you connect with the wrong people, they may take more than you have to offer,
Right.
you know?
Well, it's interesting because I think like you guys have brought some good points here, and I think this idea of wanting to attach yourself onto other people's success without, I think maybe Sean, what you're alluding to is this idea of if I could come in as a new person and never know that struggle or that difficulty you've gone through. But for the people, for example, our family, our friends, people who saw us struggle and maybe, brushed us off, is there kind of a expectation now for those people who've made it to still have pity on those people? Because in certain way, can we ever really know the difference between the people that end up always being failures and, because realistically, like how many guys from the hood or how many people really make it to the league or really make it? So yeah, I'm gonna see this guy. Yeah, I'm gonna be the next LeBron James. But how many people believe LeBron James is gonna be it, right? And were they wrong to have that skepticism of him?
Well, here's the sort of shitty thing with that, right? And that's why I don't give a damn about my friends and family supporting me in any of my business ventures. Um, they're around damn near from conception till launch. And for most people that know nothing about business, that you think that this business that launched, I just thought that up yesterday
Mhm.
and I launched it today. No, I thought it up a year and a half ago. You know what I mean? And I've been working towards it. And now I finally launched it today. My friends and family know that. Right. And for what you're saying with failure, they think that it's a failure that it took me that long to launch it. You know what I mean? And maybe that's part of why they don't support it, right? Because they think, oh, I can't believe it took you this long to get this business going and whatnot and whatever, right? And something we talked about before, which might be another topic, but when you do, and this is why I don't care about the sport, when you do launch a business, they won't give me or you or any of us the same ability to make a mistake and fix it that they will anybody else's business. I mean, shit, Rolls-Royce has warranties on their car for a reason
Right.
because even they expect that things might go wrong.
Right.
But I launched my brand new business. I can't make a single mistake. You know what I mean? Without my own friends and family shitting on me.
Right.
And that's one of the problems too, right? So for me, like, who cares about that, right? In that video that I sent you guys, one of the things that he said I thought was like a bar, like words to live by, which is stop worrying about the criticism of people that you wouldn't take advice from.
Right.
And fortunately for me, there's not a ton of people in my circle. And there's definitely not a ton of people in my outer circle that I would take advice from. Like the people that I would let give me advice on things, it's very small. I'll let everybody talk to me. And even y'all talk to me about this, but understand, like I know how to turn my ears off.
No, that's very true. And I think, what we're really trying to address here as we go into kind of our closing arguments is this idea of success as something that is a process. And it's not A to B necessarily for everyone. It can be up and down, it can go through those phases. So understanding that success is a phase, and also there's layers to success, right? Your first success may not be your last success, and your last success may be your first success, right? And so understanding that it's a process and it's not just a destination, right? How does that change the way that we should approach that, you know, that that journey or that progress?
For me, the first thing that comes to mind is like humility, because being humble in anything you do is going to make sure that whoever comes around you to try and, I don't know, like either whether they're going to help you or sabotage, whatever the case, you stay like a level head, because there's going to be great people who come into your life who actually can add value to help your business, go to the next level. And then there's going to be those with the opposite mindset who, if you connect to them, boom, automatically things are not going to be working out for you. So humility will be very important, and it will also help you to set boundaries, knowing not to like try and overthink when things go wrong, but you just stay on the mission. Like don't lose the momentum. Like why you started, like keep going regardless of what's happening around you, you know.
And so, as we talk about humility, what would be the opposite of being a humble person? Because what's that line of like arrogance and confidence? Because some people would argue that in order to be successful, one has to have a certain level of arrogance and pride, but also you want to have confidence because if, like we're saying, if you don't believe in
Absolutely.
yourself,
And
how could others believe?
I think pride, and ego and all these things, like everyone has it, let's not fool ourselves, but we are not allowed.
Already so much higher than I need to be.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so we're sitting on the couch waiting for Sean because that's what Black people do.
Wait.
Okay, let's see.
All right, guys.
Aren't I introducing?
So you're introducing. You're like, welcome to the Vision to Prosper podcast. Then you're gonna say a bunch of jargon like blah 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 blah,
Okay.
and then you're gonna say,
On today's episode, we're talking about.
maybe I'll say
Yeah.
episode we're talking about.
I don't know what I said.
No, I guess not.
No. Okay, so you do intro. So you got to clap so that I know that's first thing.
Oh shoot, let me do that again. This
Wow.
bro, this thing was in my thing though. The plant, the tree, man.
God, you want us to seats? We've officially.
We're officially not happy with how we clap.
All right. Welcome to the Vision to Prosper podcast. My name is Quab.
My name is Chris.
And I'm Sean.
Today we're gonna be talking about.
But I'll say that part.
He's supposed to say that, but that's his line.
You're stepping on toes hardcore. I'm Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Can we spark that up a bit? Like, what do you think? We should add more or no?
I don't know. We'll try that one and see how it goes.
All right, we'll try something. All right.
Maybe not speed through it so fast. Like we're doing it like a race.
All right. Welcome to the Vision to Prosper podcast. Welcome back. We're glad you guys are here. My name is Quab. This is
Chris.
And I'm Sean. And today's topic is the waiting on you to believe.
So stay tuned. We have a great video for you today, and we'll see you next time. Well, actually, that was.
Now you stumble a little bit. Did you want?
Why are you talking next bit? Just
No. I just said I messed up.
Just
the scrub lips though,
okay.
All right.
All right.
Let him clap.
Welcome to the Vision to Prosper podcast. My name is Quab.
My name is Chris.
And I'm Sean. And today's topic is they're waiting on you to believe.
Thank you for joining our first podcast. And I shouldn't have continued for that.
You should have said that at the beginning, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking, but it was too late.
I'm like, why you say it now? Your lines.
All right. Vision to Prosper podcast.
Vision to prosper, vision to prosper.
Well, okay, welcome to our first episode. Okay, that's what I got to start with.
Welcome to the first episode of Vision to Prosper podcast.
All right, I got you.
Was able.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Vision to Prosper podcast. My name is Quab.
My name is Chris.
And I'm Sean. And today's topic is going to be they're waiting on you to believe.
Amazing. Great.
Did I look at